Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 5561 Northwest 178th Avenue here in Portland, located at the front of the home, just to the right of the doorway. And that's, I describe everything as if you're facing the front of the house from the street. So we're to the right of the doorway, we're about 4 feet in from the front right corner here, and it's the second deck board away from the front of the house. You've got a 3-inch PVC clean out. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water's currently running. We are zeroed out. Off we go. I would recommend cutting a hatch here. It'd be very easy to do. Where the support boards are, you can make a nice little 16, 18 inch wide little hatch board so that you don't have to pull the entire deck board. The way that they put this thing together, it's kind of tricky. When they put the deck boards in, they put the boards in and then they put trim at the bottom of the siding, but they did it after the board went in place. So you actually have to pop a piece of trim loose in order to get the deck board out. You just don't want to have to do that, honestly, more than one time. It's easy to do it once, but if you do it over and over again, you're just kind of asking to have to replace a board at some point. So what I'm seeing thus far, the line itself's looking good here. You've got some very thick grease and sludge buildup in the flow line. You got a solid quarter to half inch thick layer of it throughout the entire sewer line here. And what that comes from, by and large, is almost exclusively grease, fats, and oils going down the kitchen sink drain. And you can see how it gunks your line up like that. It acts kind of like glue. It makes debris. What you're looking at here is a combination of grease and then paper products that start sticking to it and everything else that goes down the line. So the line as it sits is still in a functional state, but it puts the line at a much higher risk for blockages, and especially blockages that are very stubborn. Blockages happen all the time without people even realizing it. They break loose on their own naturally under head pressure. I mean, we're talking like toilet paper balls, stuff like that your kids create. Anyway, that same blockage that would otherwise break loose under just a little bit of head pressure, pipe fills up for 3 to 5 feet behind the blockage and it breaks loose. That same blockage, when you have a really thick grease buildup in the line, can now withstand, potentially, this is for example anyway, 30, 40 feet of water building up behind it. Now, it's more likely your run-of-the-mill temporary blockage will turn into an actual sewer event. So it's something it's worthwhile keeping up on. It's very easy to mitigate. You just have to build a habit into your life. To wipe your pans out with a paper towel once they cool down, or pour the grease into a jar. You just want to keep it from going down the line. Anyway, we hit the main here at about, we're going to call it 59 feet, and we'll call it 60 feet. We'll make a nice even number, close enough. We're going to go locate really quick while the pipe drains out, then we'll have a better look at everything as we come back. All right, located the camera head successfully. Line terminates out on Northwest 178th. And where I take that locate there, lines up almost perfectly with the clean out. The line does just about a dead straight run of the main. And the line's just about done draining off here. We'll get a nicer view of things as we come back in. Every now and then, my camera will remove a bit of the junk in the flow line. And granted, PVC also can display itself in a little bit dirtier fashion. That's why I always let the line drain out. It stains in a much more spectacular fashion than black ABS pipe does. So sometimes when the water's moving to the line, you get the appearance of a thicker layer of buildup than there actually is, but we'll see here. I can tell there was a reasonable amount in here though. Anyway, what you've got there, you can see all the toilet paper scraps that are stuck to that grease. So that's what ends up happening is when you flush a toilet, especially these modern day, personally, I do not like low flow toilets. They require more flushing, so it kind of defeats the purpose of them. But when you flush the toilet, it's rare that solid debris is going to get much more than 20, 30 feet down line, sometimes further depending on what it is, but stuff often hangs up partway down line, and then sinks, showers, tubs, all that stuff moving through the line is what conveys the debris the rest of the way. So when stuff stops up partway, that grease ends up kind of getting impregnated into the toilet paper, and it starts leaving bits and pieces behind. And so it just kind of creates a progressive buildup situation. So it's not quite as thick as it looked on the way out, but there's enough in here I'd like to see this cleaned. Once grease is there, it's there. It does not go anywhere. It just becomes stickier and stickier as time goes on. Eventually it turns into jet black sewer sludge. It's like tar. I'm going to recommend cleaning on the line. Again, as it sits, the line is still a functioning sewer line. It's at higher risk for blocking. And this is not, you know, there's not so much grease in here that it would just be causing blockages, you know, if you're flushing a little, you know, folded piece of toilet paper down the line like you're supposed to. If you've got kids in the house, I've got a bunch of little ones, they like to wad their toilet paper up like softballs. You know, in scenarios where, you know, you've got people in the house that just about clog the line every time they flush the toilet, that's where where having a clean line makes a big difference. And especially when the occasional paper towel, wipe, flushable wipe. I don't recommend flushable wipes, by the way. They're slightly less terrible than paper towels are. That kind of stuff is especially problematic with grease because it gets stuck and then they don't disintegrate at all. All right, we are well within the house here. Everything beyond the foundation wall is all exposed piping. You can look at it with your eyeballs. The home inspector looks at that stuff. So, and the grease does persist back inside the home. So I would recommend when you jet the line, run the jet back. Most of it's within about the first 10 to 15 feet going back into the line or back into the house. No, beyond that, line itself here looks good. There's no bellying, nothing. No structural issues I can see at all. Every now and then grease is concealing something, but it's rare when it's at this level that I can't see evidence of something poking through it. So everything here looks good. I would just recommend it get cleaned out and re-scoped to show the work that it was indeed done, and also to ensure that the interior was cleaned. A lot of guys show up and they jet the outside and completely whiff the interior. The interior part of the line is honestly it's the more crucial part to get cleaned. The closer in or closer proximity any issue is to a home, whether it's grease buildup or, you know, a belly, an offset joint, anything like that, the more likely it is to cause a problem. And it's because of, again, going back to the head pressure thing, if you were to block up 60 feet out from the house, you have to fill up a lot of pipe to get back to the home. And when you fill up 60 feet of pipe with water, it creates a lot of head pressure and water weight, and often pushes blockages through that are made out of proper items like toilet paper. Whereas if you get a blockage, you know, under your crawl space, you have very little leeway to build up head pressure for one thing, but your water starts coming up through fixtures much quicker. So you want to make sure that both ends of the line get cleared out here. Otherwise, good looking sewer line has good, as it sits right now, I would say it has adequate flow of the main lateral. All the pipe appears to be in good condition and intact. After cleaning, you'll have proper flow and functionality, and you'll have mitigated any blockage risk associated with that grease. The grease slows things down in general too. It just creates for a bumpy, malleable flow line. The stuff just slows down when it goes over it.